All right, everybody, welcome back once again. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, here with my guest, Aaron Felder, the current CEO of the Food Trust. At the end of the last segment, we were talking about how certain folks who've been around and weathered some storms already, this feels very similar to certain situations. One of the situations Aaron mentioned was Hurricane Sandy and how that affected New York City, and he was managing a group of healthcare services at the time for especially homeless people, and how the situation now is very similar. I've heard people that have been around for quite some time compare this situation to 9/11 as well here in New York City. And there's certain differences though, like with Sandy, there was a full shutdown of infrastructure. People lost power, supply chains definitely were interrupted. It was hard to get food and goods through
water.
Water.
Yeah.
You need water? There was plenty of water. It was a hurricane. That's funny. That's not fucking funny, Jeremiah. I'm trying to, I made a few jokes.
Levity is so important right now. Like, to the extent that we can inject any in, even if it's a little distasteful.
But I still spend a little too much time with Bobby Seeger, and he has no filter, and I love it because he makes me laugh. And every now and then a little seeps through, and people are like, "Oh," and I'm like, whatever, man. Whatever.
I haven't seen him put up any naked tattoo pictures in a while. Maybe that's his way of kind of being respectful.
No, you just gotta follow the right accounts. He definitely did one of his legs. He did a video and a photo the other day of his fully tattooed legs in an Epsom salt bath just this past week. He's got a lot of accounts though. You gotta follow him.
That's old tricks, Bobby. Come on, man.
Yeah. We need to see that. We need to see those butt cheek tattoos. No, he just picked up some food the other night and just killing me, man. Just killing
Miss
me.
you, Bobby. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up, bud?
So the face of the obstacle we were just talking about is different, but the responses are largely the same. I'd like to spend some time talking. You could interject too from where you're at near Philadelphia as well, and kind of speak from the New York side of things, like what's not working, and what is. One thing that has not been, and I started to mention it earlier, has not been interrupted is the food supply chain. There's been at this point there's an overabundance, which is a little scary because people were hoarder buying for a few weeks, and now their pantries are stocked, but the stores have continued to purchase as if that trend was going to continue, and now the stores are overstocked. And then especially here in New York, where some 40,000 restaurants are either not operating or reduced to probably 25% of their previous business, they're not purchasing at the same level as well. So the wholesalers are backed up to the point where now restaurant wholesalers are now offering home delivery service akin to Fresh Direct
or whatever. Yeah. Peapod.
So they're all trying to salvage some sense of life, continue to breathe life into the lungs of their business, but at the same time not let all that food go bad. So this is something I think that's very applicable to your side of the industry. Is like there's going to be an overabundance of especially perishable goods, and what happens to that? Because some companies don't want to reduce prices to make it more affordable, more accessible. They would rather just sit and watch it go bad. What are some of the options in terms of that scenario?
So my organization is really not involved in supply chain. We do have those 3 farmers markets that are still operating, and one of the challenges has been making sure that the vendors, who are the actual farmers,
right,
are comfortable with the precautions that are being taken for their safety at the market. So demand for their food is way up, but there's been some reluctance on their part to show up because they don't want to get sick. So we've put in lots of different precautions, like the 6-foot distancing from the vendors. People have to point. Vendors are the only people allowed to handle the food. It all has to be pre-bagged.
Union Square Farmers Market is the same way now. You can't go through and like browse. You tell them, and they pick out your stuff.
Your
And
point.
you have to
Yeah,
and
that's
there's
it.
like plastic barricades in front of the food. So
These guards and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But because of the combination of where they are, so they're strategically placed in lower income, underserved, food desert type neighborhoods, and the efforts to enroll people in SNAP, they're doing boom business right now. I mean, I don't have data yet. Data's kind of slow to creep in, but I've heard that we've had 2 of our best weeks ever. And the food trust doesn't see a cut of that. We're not making money because the markets are doing better, but the farmers are.
Right.
And so
it's the same. It's the same at the
amount of it.
Yeah, same at the food co-op. Like there's no entity or being reaping the extra money. It's situating us for longevity, which is great. But same there, we work with a lot of local farmers. We order a lot through Green Market. We have a ton of super small suppliers, and we're really trying to patronize them a lot more right now. So it's good for them, and it's obviously good for the consumer to get that accessibility.
Yeah, I mean that's how they're going to stay afloat, right? Is things like co-ops and farmers market, and that's how they've always stayed afloat. But not to sound trite, but now more than ever, right?
No, I mean, like I said earlier, we're seeing a big, local businesses that have stayed open. The only reason they're able to do it is because people are closer to home now, and I'm involved in a number of businesses and locally, and see, I know what the back end numbers are, and some of them are like really up because everybody's right here, and they're just like, oh, we're going to spend our money locally, and that's, I feel like, for like Lake Paddock is still open, Della is still open, Hamilton's is still open doing takeout, a lot of other places, and daily I see places just deciding like, okay, we can't do this anymore. Like 3 days in delivery only. They're just like, no, can't do it.
Well, you're the restaurant business. I mean, I don't know a thing about it, but I know what everybody knows, which is that it's day to day.
Yeah.
Razor thin margins, high personnel costs, right? And to cover your costs, you have to do a certain amount of business every day. And under current circumstances, how can anyone?
No, it's impossible. But like a lot of us, what we're doing is we're the employees that have no other source of income and wouldn't get, it's not like, oh, we're closed, sorry, you can go find another job. There's just nothing available for them. So a lot of it is definitely just to keep them employed and safe. Because for me, they're like my family. The people that have,
I know.
I've got more than half my staff has been here since before we opened, and we're going on 5 years now. I mean, that's family.
I've been going to Della for years, and one nice thing is that it's the same faces.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It is. So I intend to take care of those people, but we're falling behind on absolutely everything else.
Well, what'll be interesting will be to see what happens when the stimulus dollars really start to trickle down. I mean, now. You're technically a small business, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So you're eligible for these low interest loans, but I don't know your appetite for going into debt because
I'm not taking out a loan. Yeah, no way. That's like starting over again. I'd rather close this and save my money and start another business on my own. I'm not, I'm not trying to be beholden to anybody like that. That's a terrible way to live and operate.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. You don't want to finance your future away just to keep something going when you don't know A, when the new normal is going to start, and B, what it's going to look like. Like you and I were talking about this before. What is going to be the willingness of people after this is sort of gradually unrestricted to gather?
Yeah.
What are football games going to look like next season?
NFL was on the chopping block already.
Well, yeah. I mean, the seasons that have been canceled. So NBA, NHL, who's going to go sit in a room with 15,000 people?
Right. And who's going to have the money left to, I mean, the service industry has been the first to get hit.
Yeah.
But there will be more casualties to come. And the people that are out of work right now, it will be very tough for them to get. A lot of these restaurants are not just going to turn their keys and open back up. It's not that easy. Just go like, oh yeah. It's there's a big financial commitment. You haven't made any money in months. Your bank account is empty. You got to get staff, and food. Forget about it. It's crazy. I mean, a lot of people are turning off their electrical and their gas. I mean, it's not going to be an easy turnaround. So a lot of those people are still going to be out of work, and that's going to affect the next wave of layoffs. And I that's one of my other big concerns. We're going to take one more quick short break, Aaron, and we'll talk about what I want to pick up with that when we get back. Okay, everybody listening to Entrepreneurial Web, we'll be back in just a minute.